Knicks fans, welcome to another episode of Delusional Knicks Fan Network, where we bring you that Knicks content that you need. So the biggest question going into the off season is who's going to coach the Knicks in the next season. That's something that everybody is pretty much looking for right now. Is the biggest news in the NBA. It's taken away from the NBA Finals, but just like in Knicks fashion, that's pretty much everybody love to hear and listen about the Knicks. We have certain candidates out there that's been thrown around there for the most part. You have Johnny Bryant names who's been coming up, Ime Udoka. You have Jason Kidd, Mike Malone, Jay Wright, Tyler Jenkins, Mike Brown, Johnny Bryant, as I stated before. These are names that's just been flowing out and thrown out there, as candidates to become the Knicks' next head coach. I have no understanding or direction of where the Knicks are trying to go. All I know is whoever they bring in needs to have a system. A lot of the championship teams that have won it came in with an offensive system and a rotation that the players knew. They knew that they can run these sets out of any position, any players, rather than some of uncertainty, which I felt that we did have with Coach Tibbs. Guys being out of position, don't know what offense or set to run when different players bring the ball up. That's something that a coach needs to have going in. A defensive scheme that works for the players that you have. We don't need to force and put Cat in a drop coverage, knowing that he's probably going to get beat. So just the mindset of the coach with the players that he have, I think is very crucial. Speaking about Ime Udoka, who played in the NBA for 7 years. 9 years as an assistant coach, seven with the Spurs, one with Philly, one with Brooklyn. Then, of course, you had 3 years as a head coach. He had one with Boston and two with the Houston Rockets. 144 wins out of 102 losses. That's a 5.85 record going there. So you're above 500 on your winning percentage. That's solid. Another thing about Ime, he's pretty much under the coach pop tree. We know about coaches under the pop tree has been phenomenal and have won or been in the NBA Finals or even won championships. You had Mike Bodenheiser, who pretty much won the chip. Monty Williams, who was under the coach Pop, he went to the NBA Finals. Mike Brown, who went to the NBA Finals, he also won chips. It might not have been as a head coach, but he was still in positions with other organizations to get them there. Tyler Jenkins, who pretty much hasn't been to the finals or the conference finals, but he have taken the Memphis Grizzlies pretty far. Doc Rivers, who went to the NBA Finals and won it, and then of course the most pivotal of them all, which is Steve Kerr, who's pretty much under that coach pop tree. So trying to pry Ime from Houston, I don't think that's going to happen. But hey, it don't hurt to look. He was one of the candidates in 2020 when we initially was looking for a head coach to kind of turn the team around. I was a huge advocate for bringing him in during that time period. But of course, they went with Tibbs, and we saw the outcome, which we were still happy with. Another candidate that's pretty big that we're hearing some crazy things about is Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd pretty much was with the Knicks 1 year, got us to the semi 1 year. Then we lost to the Indiana Pacers. Literally right after that, the next year, he was the head coach for the Brooklyn Nets. Then of course he was with Milwaukee Bucks. Then he went as an assistant with the Lakers, where he won championship in the bubble year. Then of course his last 4 years he's been with Dallas, where he took them to the um, Eastern Conference Finals 1 year. Then of course they were in the NBA Finals. So another coach that pretty much know the Knick organization pretty well. He knows Jalen Brunson pretty well. He's familiar with having ball dominant players, and now he has another big where he can pretty much transition. But the Knicks will have to give up draft compensation to bring him over. Is that something you're willing to do to bring over a coach is lose a draft compensation to bring him over. He's already there. I don't know if this is an option to go, but you keep hearing that this is a possibility, and this is what the Knicks feels good with going with. It's all rumors, ladies and gents. It's all rumors, but I don't know how I feel about Jason Kidd. I truly don't. Like, granted, he's played in the NBA, smart point guard. I remember when he was coaching in Brooklyn, he didn't have no more timeouts. He told one of his players to run into him, and he spilled the drink on the floor and was able to get an official's timeout, and he was able to draw up a play. Now, I don't know the outcome of that play, if that helped him or not, whatever, but to still have the instincts and the mindset to do that during the game, it's crazy. Um, it's definitely crazy. And I think the Dallas team that he have, it's kind of similar to what he has in Dallas now with AD, Kyrie, and Luca. Would you leave that to come with OG, Mikel, Brunson, and Cat and Mitch? I'm not for sure. I'm totally not for sure to kind of roll with that. Other coaches they bring up is Tyler Jenkins. Tyler Jenkins literally got fired last year. Had a 44-29 record before that happened. He was a G League coach coming in for the Austin Toros, where he won the chip back in 2012. So he had experience of developing players in the G League, and then coming up and getting his head coaching stint, which he's done okay. He's turned that system around. But do I think Tyler Jenkins is what we need? No, definitely, definitely not. My dark horse pick, I'm leaning towards Mike Brown just a little bit. Just a little bit. Mike Brown, he's been an assistant head coach from 97 all the way to 2005 with the Wizards, the Spurs, and the Pacers. He became a head coach in '05 in Cleveland. We all know that's when, Braun's second year in the league. He was a head coach for the Lakers for a year. Then he came back to Cleveland. Then he was an assistant head coach with the Warriors, which of course he won championships then. But 4 NBA titles from 2000, what it says, 2003. He won the chip. 2017, 2018, and 2002. 457 in wins with 304 losses. That's a 599 winning percentage. That's dope. His playoff is he's 50-40 in the playoffs. 50 wins, 40 losses in the playoffs. That's over 500 in that aspect. I believe those records is more than anything for me is you winning in the playoffs, which he has seen. He has dealt with high caliber superstar players, particularly in Braun. And we saw how that went. He pretty much turned them around. He got them into the playoffs with Braun. And then of course he was with Sacramento. Totally forgot about with the Kings. With the Kings, they had high powered offense, and I believe they were still top 10 in defense. I believe he can bring a great system to the Knicks. Great system. Not for sure about how his voice and his presence, and how he communicates with his players, but just seeing what he did in Sacktown with the players they had, I think he can pretty much do the same with the Knicks. I think it's a better team that he have with the Knicks. Just not sure how the players feel about him. Another person we talk about, Johnny Bryant. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Doing this research, I didn't know a lot of stuff about Johnny Bryant, but he's been an assistant head coach for the Utah Jazz for about 6 years. Technically, it was like a player development. Then, of course, 4 years as the associate head coach with the Knicks, and then he is currently with the Cleveland Cavaliers in the same position as the associate head coach. He pretty much he coached the Jazz G League team, which was I had no clue. He coached them, and I was looking at certain games, whatever. Nice systems, nice systems, nice things. So he had experience with coaching. That's something that I had no clue that Johnny Bryant did. Because everyone speaks highly about him, but was that translating into actual, like usage? Like, do you see what system he runs, how's his awesome things of that nature? So I thought it was pretty good, but he's more of a player development coach for me. So let's see where that translate to uh, with him. Another player they talked about was Mike Malone. We don't see Mike Malone coming here. Mike Malone pretty much is like another Tibbs per se. Granted, he won a championship. Um, what team he was with? He won a championship with Milwaukee. The whole Giannis thing that he was on the hot seat prior. Until he won that, but then he's a New York native. That's something to look into. There's the options. These are all really great options. Jay Wright name also came up as well. Would I go to Jay Wright route? Probably wouldn't, because then that's more favoritism, for the Nova guys. Which now you're hearing rumbles that I'm not trying to listen to this summer. Is where that the Knicks players was having issues with Brunson Pops, being outspoken, things and that thing. So like you don't want to cause the rift with your main star player JB and the rest of the team, which for the beginning I thought was kind of iffy and weird to have your father as a coach and an associate head coach who has a lot of say um, that goes on in the organization. So we saw when Dante DiVincenzo was talking on the bench and say this is what happens when they put you in charge, and and he took offense toward it, even though he said that was toward Tibbs. He did that and causes the rift between the Nova guys. But obviously, their relationship is strong, so that wouldn't affect. So that's that. To be honest, I have no clue on where the Knicks should go with the head coach. And all I know is whoever we pick, I know I keep flopping back and forth. Whoever we pick for head coach, for me, need to have some type of experience with systems, right? You're bringing a system. I don't need no free for all, ISO heavy offense. Come in and you bring a system. You saw Ime Udoka had a system under Pop. They ran the motion offense. Give me someone under Phil Jackson, who ran the triangle. You know, someone who went to the grind. One player, one coach, the Oklahoma City Thunder coach. I did some research on the Thunder coach, and this man hustled. Like he was a video coordinator for OKC that elevated to him being the G League coach, where he took them to heights down in the G League. They brought him under on the coaching staff for the OKC. Once the coach was left, they brought him because they saw like, yo, he has a system. On defense and offense. I need a system. We need to put players in position to succeed. If I'm bringing the ball up, Cat need to know where he needs to be. OG needs to know where he needs to be. Same with Mitch, rather than a free fall. Or then it's vice versa. If Cat want to bring the ball up, JB need to know, okay, what positions I need to be on the floor to counter. Who's the weakest link on the defensive end? Let's rotate to that. And I figured our system wasn't really catered to that. It was ISO heavy, Brunson at the top of the key, let him go to work. Then there's certain plays that we did run when JB got hurt. It looked like the floodgates opened to where we were running offensive sets. OG started killing. You had Mikal was doing this thing. Cat was prominent. So I'm like, Tibbs could have ran an offense. He just got stubborn and was like, nope, let's run it back to that. So we need a coach that can do that. A coach that has experience in any type of championship, whether it's EuroLeague, G League, any league, for the most part. Bring that championship caliber mindset, know how to adjust in-game adjustment. I know they brought up the fact about utilizing the bench. We could have utilized the bench a lot more. Mikal brought up the issue that we got players that we can utilize. We've seen that. Precious not getting heavy minutes in the playoffs was ridiculous, especially when Siakam was giving us work. So when OG went to the bench, you could have brought in Siakam to be that secondary defender on him, and made a little adjustment. Deuce pretty much was on a short lease in that playoff run when we played the Pacers. So a lot of things happen. We just need to figure out, get a solid coach in. I have no clue what direction they want to go into. But for me, my dark horse is Mike Brown. But it seems like for what everything is talking about now, Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd is, from what the media is saying, the front runner. It's crazy. He's with Dallas. How is that possible? How is that possible? I was looking at this SNY document saying here, one thing that I saw was the Knicks executive Gerson Rosa. He hired Chris Finch in Minnesota, who's pretty much doing a solid job right now. So these guys know how to pick. They know how to pick. So obviously they're going to pick somebody good. Other names that's out there: Mike Budenholzer, Monty Williams, Frank Vogel, Jeff Van Gundy. We definitely can't see Jeff Van Gundy coming in because he's friends of Tibbs. So I don't think he would want to come in and do that. They said Rick Pitino. We don't want Rick Pitino. He's old. Dan Hurley, I heard he came out and said, I'm good. Where I'm at, I'm gonna stay here in UConn and continue this thing. So this is the biggest question going into the offseason. Who's going to be the head coach? We literally were at the Eastern Conference Finals. Who's going to take us back to glory? I have no clue. In the comments, ladies and gents, please let us know. Who do you think? Who do you think will be the next head coach of the Knicks? Until then, we out. Deuces.
Gonna do that?
You gon' do it if I say so. I'ma do it for the pesos. I fell in love with the bass load. I fell in love with the bass load.